All right. Hey everyone, this is Nicholas from MBB Media, and today we have someone very special on our channel. Sarah has been working with us for some time now, and she has been seeing some great results week in and week out. So we wanted to make this, short video so that she could share some tips and hopefully help out some of you out there who may be struggling. So, without further ado, Sarah, why don't you start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit more about some of the results that you've been seeing lately?
Well, I've been doing this for maybe 4 years now and tried various lead sources. The problem I've had with so many lead sources is that people, when I get them on the phone, don't remember filling out the request. They deny they ever did it, or they'll hang up on me, think I'm just a telemarketer. This is the first lead source I've had where most of the people I call immediately remember having filled out whatever questionnaire you request from them on Facebook. So when I introduce myself on the phone, I tell them that I'm just getting back to them about the request they submitted through Facebook. And almost always I hear them say, "Oh, yes. Oh, yeah." So right away, I've connected, and I don't have to go through some kind of convincing them that this is something that they have initiated. They are ready to hear my next explanation or my next offer to help. So that's speeded things up immensely, and I've got a really good hit rate from the calls I've been making. I'm very happy with it.
Perfect, perfect. I believe you've been with us for about a month and a half now. And how's everything going for you in terms of so on a week-to-week basis, how many people are you talking to approximately? And off the top of your head, do you know like how much you're closing on a month or week basis at the moment?
Well, first of all, I must explain, I'm very, very part-time, as I have 2 or 3 other jobs, and also I'm head of the governing board for the Philadelphia Orchestra. There's all kinds of things I do in addition to this. So I'm kind of working this in and out of my other obligations. So my numbers aren't going to be what somebody who's working full time would be. But having said that, I have very little time and I like to maximize it. So I'm getting nearly 100% result on the calls that I make. People do want this information. And I'm usually able to close the sale if they can afford it. And if everything else goes well, it's not something that they're just rejecting because I couldn't convince them. So I would say that I'm probably bringing in, your leads are the ones that I'm finding the most success with. So about 90% of the policies I'm writing are now coming from your lead source. Probably I'm doing around $5,000 in commissions a week. So that's very part-time.
I mean, that's awesome. Like if you're doing this part-time, I mean, kudos to you, and because we don't have a lot of agents who do this part-time, honestly. So those results are some kind of on par with, 50% of agents who are still like new to the business, even though they're doing it full time. So, I mean, there's nothing much to say here. Like, I think you're doing an awesome job, and that's props to you so far. Like, yeah. So,
well, I've got to get somebody on the phone to listen to me. I have a very good hit rate, very, very satisfying success rate. It's getting them to listen that has always been the challenge. And with this, they seem to already be partway sold when they're filling out the Facebook form for you.
absolutely, absolutely. But that's not just it, right? Like, there's a lot of things going on the phone, because it's just sales at the end of the day, right? Your tonality, how empathetic you are, but at the same time, you know that what you are offering them is good for them, and you just need to put that message across, right? And on that topic, so some of our agents out there are getting the leads, some not exactly in the same area as you, maybe in the same state as you, but even then, like they are not seeing kind of the types of results that you're like 90% to 100% kind of like success rate. Why do you think that is? And what would you say is the main reason for your success?
My geographic territory is in very, very underserved areas of a major urban city.
Mm-hmm.
I deal with people that are mostly on Social Security or SSI or they're on welfare. They just have very little excess to spend. What I try to do when I call is not act salesy. I try to get them immediately aware that I'm just there to help them. And I'm trying to protect them and make sure that nobody takes advantage of them, so that I want to make sure they have all the information they need and they can take that anywhere they want to go to get their insurance, and nobody will take advantage of them. And I think that conveys a message right away that I'm not trying to sell them for my own purposes. I'm trying to help them so they can go wherever they want. That sends a message to them, I think, that they have this information and they have the freedom of choice to go wherever to get their insurance. But by the time I'm finished explaining, they're always going to sign up with me.
Absolutely.
I've never going to go somewhere else. But they right away are not on the defensive, thinking that I'm calling them just another person trying to hit and run, sell them something, and the life and term life. That's pretty simple to explain, and most people don't know them. I always ask them if they know, and they almost always say they don't, or they attempt to tell me and they're wrong. And then I try to explain exactly how these monthly premiums are determined, so that I can find the right fit for them. And then they can take that information wherever they want, and they'll have the knowledge, they'll have the information they need. So I'm giving them power to handle this information. I'm just there to help. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, what's led to a success rate that I'm happy with. I become their friend. And I know they tell us in training, don't do that, but it's worked for me. And then these people, I find they're referring their sisters and their brothers and their wives to get the same help, or their neighbors. And they feel comfortable. I think that they have been, as I said, empowered and given the knowledge to make their decision.
Of course, of course. And that's a big point you're putting out there, because you're putting the information out for them to understand it, but not in a pushy way, right? Like you're framing it in a way that we are on the same team. I'm calling you because you feel that this your information based on the Facebook ad that you've seen. There's an interest that you have into that, and it's based on the thing that I am, talking to you about and giving you information about is going to help you and your family, right? We are on the same team again. That's the main message. And that's very, very important. Like, there's something an agent told me recently is like, you got to be an empathetic shark, right? Because at the end of the day, it's good for them, but sometimes you might be pushed with skepticism. And that's why, the leads that we bring in is we want to make sure that you have the right tools in hand. And when you do contact them, they know who you are, and you be able to break the ice with, let's say, the information about their beneficiary, right? Make it very personal and familiar to them. It's very, very, reminiscent of why agents are being able to get the foot in the door very early on and have positive feedback. So on a more kind of technical level, like, how soon, for example, do you call the leads when you get them?
I try to call them on the day I get them, but I was on vacation for 2 weeks, and I've got enough leads to keep me drowning here in calls for days, and I don't have the time. I'm just squeezing it in when I can. But generally, I try to call just as quickly as I can, because I feel that they've probably filled this out fairly recently. It's fresh in their mind. They need it then. If I wait, maybe they've come up with reasons not to act, or maybe somebody else has gotten to them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing we say to agents who are not seeing a lot of like pickup rate is a big one that agents always, bring up, and just like the pushback. So we always tell them, hey, just call them as soon as they get in, like within 5 minutes, because they just filled out the form that is about 13 to 14 questions. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes to do that. There's a level of investment that they put into the form, typing out the question, but typing out the answers and filling out the form. So you want to get in front of them as soon as they finish, right? They click submit, you get the lead immediately by email and all the various sources from us, and just call them. That's where you're going to get the least pushback, and they're going to be the happiest to talk to you then. So just do it that way. So you're definitely in the right there. And what do you personally say
I
to
do
them?
make notations.
Oh, sorry.
I'm
There's a
sorry.
little bit of a delay
I
here.
make notations. Okay. I of course print out each sheet, and I make notations of my call, and I, date it. And if I call them 3 times, I've put the 3 times on there. And I always circle back maybe a week or two later, because sometimes people haven't been home, or that I always leave a voicemail the first time that I have attempted to reach them too, so they know they have the option of calling me back. Not often they do that, but at least it's there. I can refer back to it that I left a message. And sometimes when they do call back, I say, did you listen to my voicemail message? And they, yes or no. Anyway, I don't give up on one attempt. I circle back, and usually I keep each lead sheet a month, and I circle back again whenever I have some free time. And also when I'm on the road, if I have free time in between appointments, I will, if they're near where I'm located at that moment, I will door knock.
Mhm.
I just had a very successful door knock a couple of days ago. And it was a walk-up apartment. Somebody let me in. I found the guy's door, and he said that he had been trying to reach some other agent who'd called him 6 times, and that person never got back to them. I don't know why. And he really wanted insurance, and he wrote a very nice, very hefty policy with me. So the door knocking off of your lead was another way that I experienced success. But I keep trying, and I give it about a month until I retire the file.
Okay. I mean, we could start doing local leads for you on a more consistent basis if that's the case. And
Local leads, I am, what do you mean local leads?
specifically local leads. But I think that's what you're doing already.
I am, yeah. It's within the zip code. It's within a certain radius. Having said that, occasionally I get a weird lead from 200 miles away, or another state or something. Yeah. And I guess you guys, this isn't part of what you want in the video, but I guess you guys don't reimburse for those kinds of leads. There's some that are mistakes.
It's part of how Facebook works. Unfortunately, we can't filter out everybody because sometimes they just share with their friends and all of
Yeah.
that. We can get into the technicalities later on, absolutely, if you're curious about that. And what I was curious about as well is like, what are some common objections that you might hear on the phone, or do you get any at some point? And if you do, how do you personally overcome them?
With your leads, I don't, because they've already reached out. And if I I have plenty of information on the lead sheet to remind them that they have a beneficiary named, Rwanda or something. And their objections generally are all over the place. Maybe they just don't think they can afford it right now. They already have insurance. My response is, I'm also able to take a look at what you have and see if you're in the best possible position, because I always tell them about half the time we find people have gotten the wrong coverage or they're paying more than they should. The paying more than they should kind of hits home with a lot of people. So I'll review what they have. And quite often I find that I can replace what they have with something less expensive or better coverage. Maybe I can get them accidental death benefit built in, or they're on a 2-year wait because they got a graded policy and didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, I try to take the objections and come up with alternative solutions for them. If they've gone to the work of filling out this Facebook questionnaire, generally they're going to take my call and let me do something with them.
Absolutely. And it's good that you pointed out, because there's a subtle kind of hint to FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, because if they're paying too much, then they're missing out on, more disposable income for them. But also you're still picturing this for them in a way that, hey, I'm on your team. We're on the same team here.
Yeah,
I want to
always.
help
I'm trying to help you.
Exactly. So I mean, you're doing this part-time, why not full-time, right? But this is a
Everybody
discussion for another
my
day.
time. I
Absolutely.
know.
Absolutely. Awesome, Sarah. And final question to you, what are your thoughts on our program, and what would you say to anyone out there who might be considering it but is kind of on the fence?
Well, the first reason is the one that people, I've already mentioned to you, people recognize that they've done this about 90% of the time. The other thing that's very much differentiating you from the other lead sources is your follow-up and the calls every week and sort of the personal relationship you've already developed. I don't have that with any other lead source.
Weekly meetings with you, right?
You mean what?
You mean the weekly meetings with you?
Yeah, just the calls and the contact. I mean, I feel like some of you people kind of know me because you've talked to me and you're trying to see how successful this has been for me and how effective everything is. I've never had another lead source call and follow up or know who I am or anything. That's a very big difference in your company from any other company that I've used.
Okay. That humbles me a lot. I'm gonna make sure to tell that to the team as well, make them blush a bit, because weekly calls with clients, it's not just for, of course it's for feedback. We want to know your numbers, we want to know how the week's been business-wise, but also there are people behind the company. We're not just here for a transaction, right? Hey, here, pay this and we'll get you 100 leads and that's it, we're done. We don't want to see you anymore, right? Or we want to see you every month, but that's it, once. That's not the point here. The point here is to build long-term relationships with agents who are ready to grow and want to have leads to be able to call every week on a consistent basis. And any issues they may have during the week or throughout the week, we are just here to help them with any some tedious technical issues. For example, let's say we work with a lot of agents who are not very tech savvy, for example. So if they don't understand something, we try to make it as simple as possible. But even though if they're curious, we take the time to teach, tell them a little bit about how it works and all that, because it can be scary sometimes. I know. Sometimes I'm starting to feel outdated, so I know a feeling.
Oh, wow. You are. You can imagine. I mean, my previous career was on Wall Street.
Oh,
I
wow.
was.
I can see that. I can see you there.
I was head of Citigroup's global sales for a long time. And so I had a whole staff of people who I could turn to whenever I had a technical question. If I had any computer problem, hey, I've got 15 people sitting down in the tech room who can help me. I'm on my own now. I was retired from that. I don't have a 10-year-old around the house to show me how to do this stuff. So it's scary. I feel that I'm not out they're isolated on an island with your company because you've kept in touch with me and offered to help. I haven't really had time to even get into the other bells and whistles that you've got to help me market more. I'm just kind of leaving that. I have enough leads coming in. I really don't need to generate more. But I know that if I have a problem, you've been very, 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 very eager and thoughtful about reaching out to help me. And I've only been with you, like you said, for about 6 weeks. So it's kind of amazing, really, how much of a relationship I feel. You are, I must say, my number one favorite company now.
Of course. I mean, we'll get there. Don't worry. We know where to put the work in to do that.
Mm.
But thank you for your words, Sarah. Like I mean, when I do these kind of interviews and people just, are very direct now when they when I ask them those questions, it for lack of a better word, it does humble me because we know we're doing work for you and we're working on the same team as well. But an email telling us, "Hey, I just closed like 4K this week," is different. It hits different when the person you're talking to them face to face, and you can hear them, you can see them, you can hear their tonality, how excited they are, and it's much more human based, right? That's how we like to run a company, and there's no other way for us. Like honestly.
You're unique in that respect. So
we like to think we are, but thank you very much. And I mean, that's it, basically. That was my final question. I thank you very much, Sarah. Like, I really appreciate you, taking the time. I know you're making calls right now and you're taking out time to do this and sharing your experience with us. But thank you very much. And I'll speak to you very, very soon.
excellent. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.